Guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Valentine Lister, and this is my series on the minor arcana for the suit of swords. And today we're going to go over the Seven of Swords, and you're going to understand this card like no other. We're going to go into all of the symbolism of the card, the major arcana rulers of this card that tell you a lot more about this card, and the astrology that all ties together. And we are also going to know the upright and the reversed meanings. All right, but before I get into it, I'm just going to make a quick announcement, a little plug for a reading with me. You can now get a discount if you want to get a birth chart reading or a tarot card reading, $20 off of your very first reading with me. And you can get that discount by going to my website, valentinelister.com. And when you book a reading, make sure to put in the code 20 bucks to get $20 off of your first reading. This offer is good until December 31st, 2021. Now, what do I offer? Well, I offer birth chart readings, tarot card readings. These are live Zoom sessions, one-on-one. So for a tarot card readings are better if you have like a specific question or concern and you want advice on the concern, and you want some specific guidance on it. With birth chart readings, they're better for getting an overall understanding of the pattern and the picture of your life, like what you were, like what the stars said that you were going to do in this life, and like your environment and all of the problems you're having. It's more in terms of like what your fate or destiny is and what might be coming up for you. All right, so make sure to snag that discount. Anyway, let's get into the Seven of Swords. Okay, so the Seven of Swords. So I gave this card a little nickname to introduce you to it, and I like to call this card Deception. Okay, I'm going to go right into the rulers of the card, which connects to the astrology of the card. So this card is ruled by the moon in Aquarius. So the high priestess represents the moon and the star represents Aquarius. So why? So we can think of, like with astrology, thinking of the god or goddess of one card wearing the zodiac sign costume of the other card. So that then we would have the Six of Swords, or seven. So Seven of Swords represents like what the moon in Aquarius would look like in everyday life, because the minor arcana represents everyday life. And also just another thing for my astrologer friends is that this seven, oh my God, why do I keep saying six? This seven represents the third decan of Aquarius. Now I do have this written down for you guys in a little convenient document, and it's called the Tarot and Astrology Cheat Sheet, and you can get that in the link in the description below as a thank you for signing up for my mailing list. Okay, so hidden symbolism. So like with all the Aquarius cards, like the symbols of the rulers doesn't really show up like super strongly in the card. And so with Aquarius, but also the moon, like with a lot of the cards associated with the moon, like the Nine of Wands, the Four of Cups, like it's really like, how does the moon relate to this? So the moon itself, like the high priestess, is mysterious and ever changing. Her outfit itself is made of water, right? So even it's hard to see her because she's actually in a different outfit almost every other day. Like the moon changes signs literally like every other day, unlike, so it's super fast moving, and ever changing. So the high priestess, the moon, she represents the actual environment. Like, so traditionally, she's not just representing like emotions or how we feel or mothers, which can be like still in traditional astrology still is an association, but more so she represented the environment, and represents the impermanence of our environments, the impermanence of the body, like the impermanence of things, right? Like that our environment can change all the time, and like a lot of times we like fight that, right? In connection to the moon, we want like security, or we want like a safe environment, and like we're working towards that. So the moon connected to all of that, and she's connected to the physical world, thoughts and emotions, and how like the body, how the environment relates to the soul, because at a certain point we go, isn't there something more than this? And so the moon reflects that, and she reflects, like she has here, right? She literally, like the moon literally reflects the light of the sun to us. So the moon is was like the goddess luminary, and she hosted like the light of the soul, and her experience, right, was just as important as the sun, because it's like, without a body, we're not going to really experience anything. So I see this comparison of the luminary. The reason why I'm bringing this up, okay, and going on a tangent, is because the Seven of Swords is full of light. It is so bright and so yellow, just like the moon and like the full moon. So why is it so sunny? I was like reflecting on this. So it's reflecting sun, just like the moon would reflect sun, and just like the stars would reflect sun. So with Venus, or Aphrodite, her name was also, one of the names for her was light bringer. And so she also represented light, and Venus as the planet is like one of the brightest planets in the sky, and is a really beautiful planet to look at the night sky. So it makes sense that they would associate that planet with Venus. So the moon in Aquarius, interestingly enough, even though this guy looks pretty shady, brings a lot of light. So why does he look so devious? Well, from what I know about people with natal moon in Aquarius, he probably has his own unique ideas on how to live and will not budge on it, right? And that's supported by like his environment. And that's like, so that's how he navigates his environment. So our moon planet can represent what our environment growing up like was, and kind of even what our mother was like, or just people in our environment. But it can also represent how we interpret and respond to our environment as well. And environment, one of them being body, emotions, thoughts, like what's going on in there. So he manages the changing environment that the moon brings, all of these changes, right, in the physical world, by creating stability through unique ideas. So again, moon in Aquarius has their own fertile ideas about what society needs. And so this was an interesting thing. As I stared at the cards, I couldn't help but notice how similar to the pomegranate he looks, like compared to the high priestess. Like, bear with me here. So his outfit, super gray. I mean, not gray, it's super orange. Geez. Okay, super orange, right? And his feet are red, his hat is red, and then he has this yellow around him. I'm looking at this pomegranate, kind of similar, right? Kind of similar just in colors. Like if you just catch the colors and you're like, what am I looking at? And so it made me think of like, he's full of fertile ideas, just like this pomegranate is full of fertility. It's full of fruit and seeds that if like fertilized, I guess like if you put them in the ground and like fertilize them, they will grow a pomegranate tree, I think, tree or bush. Anyway. And then it makes me think of the of these palms. Sorry, the palms in the moon are standing rigid and upright. And that was because if you remember from the high priestess, the pomegranates represented like feminine fertility, and the palms represented like the masculine. So that makes me think, look at these two swords here. Like everybody talks about this card as he's stealing the swords, but I don't really think that's the case. He's planting the swords. He put the swords there to like disrupt things, I guarantee, because the swords represent communication and ideas, cutting to the chase, protecting oneself. So he's planting his ideas in society in the ground, grounding it. And he has more where that came from, because he's keeping a lot of these swords hidden, like, close to him, because he's thinking like they may not be understood, these thoughts, right? The swords represent thoughts. And so he's thinking people might think that his thoughts are crazy or different, or it's just not ready. Like the timing is just off. Like the things he needs to implement, his ideas maybe haven't been invented yet and like need to be developed first. So one thing is for certain, he does not want to be part of this crowd. There's like a big like crowd here, circus, army. We don't know exactly what's going on, but he doesn't want to be part of it. He's going to follow and take knowledge from his soul. All this yellow here also represents the soul. And so he's going to follow his soul to guide him and keep him safe in his environment. So, and also air is of the mind, like advanced thoughts and things that are like spiritual, like up in your head versus being grounded. So someone, this could be someone who is like from a different world, or like from an environment where they're a little unique and different. Okay, so the numerology. This card is associated with the number 7, and it indicates wisdom and spirituality. So that could mean going inward to reflect in solitude, birth and rebirth. So cycles of wisdom, the 7 heavens, 7 days in a week, 7 chakras, 7 notes in a musical scale, 7 traditional planets as seen by the naked eye in astrology. Okay, so the upright meaning of this card. So if it comes up upright, it could mean coming up with and defending ideas that are innovative to protect yourself, anticipating future problems in society and preparing for it in a unique way. It could be keeping secrets to protect yourself. And sometimes this card does represent infidelity. So it could involve you lying to your partner in a relationship about fidelity or something that you're doing that you don't think they would like. Or it could be the other way around, infidelity on their part. It would really depend on where the card shows up in a reading. Or perhaps like others may be doing like all or one of these things in your environment. But it also represents and it may not be that, but I just want to mention that as a possibility. But it could also represent synchronicity. So again, with all of the like cards associated with the star cards, the Aquarius cards, the 5, 6, and 7 of swords, there's this synchronicity, where you're going to show up at the right time, at the right place, for someone like that needs your help. And it could, a lot of times this is associated with like technology or future thinking ideas, or things that you know about, that other people may not know about, that you can actually help with. So in my tarot journal, like when I've gotten this card, is definitely like futuristic thinking, not always good. Because like one day when I got this card, me and my husband were like stocking up on food in case of an apocalypse, or like not knowing like what's going to be happening in society. We're like, what if there's a food shortage, And so we went and stocked up on a bunch of things, and we've gone all through that. And we're fine. The grocery stores still have food. They might not have every single thing we need, but so far we're okay. All right. So the other thing was like arguing with my husband over politics, and what we think, I don't know, like our vision of the future, and like what we think is going to happen politically. So I'm a Sagittarius rising, he's Capricorn rising. So he tends to be like super, super pessimistic. And I'm, Sagittarius, Jupiter ruled. So I'm like optimistic. I'm always like, it's going to work out, even if things are awful. It's going to work out in the end. We are going to make the most of it. We're going to learn and grow from it. And we're going to make it into something good no matter what. And he's like, no matter what, it's probably going to be bad. So, and so actually, he's Saturn ruled, right? So there may be an element of like anxiety for the future as well, because Aquarius is more of a Saturn ruled card. And so that just means like more protective of self, dealing with like the realities of people, realities of society and relationships. Okay, so the other example is my mom got a new phone, and this card, it was funny, like her phone made fart sounds on it, and she couldn't figure out how to turn them off. So that was pretty funny. And that reminds me of like the moon element. The moon can also represent like being funny, humor, like nurturing your environment can also be making people laugh. So I know a lot of people, like people with Cancer placements, are just super funny, and that humor is like super nurturing to the soul. The other thing is like my mom came over, and my husband, before she came over, he put on disco music before she came over, and he didn't know exactly what time she was coming over. And I'm like, that's my mom's favorite music. That's like why I was born, because she was in the disco clubs with my dad. And I was like, did you know that? And he's like, no, he had no idea. He just knew. So that was a synchronicity element. He turns on her favorite music before she comes over, and he doesn't even know. And also the moon card, that there were a couple situations with my mom that happened of like, her phone and her coming over, but also like that whole thing of like getting food actually had a lot to do with me being a mom and being worried about my kids. My survival, if it was just me, I'm not as worried about the fact that I have kids. And like if things go down, I want to make sure that they're like, that they're taken care of. Also, I did unfortunately like I was fighting with my husband over something that I thought he was dishonest about. It was like an ongoing issue. I don't want to like shout him out and like, because he does watch my videos sometimes. Like, so I don't want to go into too many details, but it was something I was upset about that I thought like he was being dishonest about. Okay, so the reverse meaning of this card, if this card comes out reversed, it means the energy is being blocked or avoided. So things in opposition. So it could be opposition to new ideas, communication, or technology, opposition to doing things to protect yourself. So I have some good examples for this one too. So on one day I got this card, like, in the news, there in the US, there was like a bill coming out to tax cryptocurrency. And that came out in the news, and a lot of people were upset because a lot of people think like that, crypto is like the currency of the future, and it also gives people a lot of freedom, and it's a new and innovative idea, and it protects people's ability to like communicate freely, to to have like just have freedom like in their environment, like the moon, to be able to do what they want to do without like the government interference. So that was a big thing. So I thought that was like a good example. Lots of people interrupting conversations that day. There's also can be like pushing, like this effort to push an outsider to fit in. So like, okay, this is an example too. On a day I got this card reversed. I actually have gotten this card like quite a bit. So I had I was out at a store, and it was esoteric store. So that was kind of like Aquarius, right? And so she had signed her son up for theater classes because she wanted him to fit in somewhere, and sports like weren't working. And so like, I don't know, this is me being judgmental, which is super Aquarius, super Saturn. They can be a judgmental. So I was definitely in that mindset. I don't have Aquarius placements, but Aquarius does rule somewhere in your chart, right? So instead of like, my thought was like, why don't you just allow him to be different and just like accept that he doesn't fit in? Like, that's kind of my, like, I was like bullied my whole childhood. And like, after a while, I was like, okay, well, I don't need to fit in. I'm okay how I am, and I started to make friends and stuff. But my thing was like, I want to accept myself as me. I don't need anybody else to accept me. I need to accept myself, and then other people like will follow. So that was like my strategy, just like giving you like where I'm coming from. And so my thought was like, just why don't you just allow him to be different, and he'll find his group. Like, what would it like, allow him to be free. So okay, so anyway, I just realized I was ranting there, so enough ranting. But that was, I think, another like mama bear thing coming through. This card's not so much mama bear, but you can see like the moon aspect, how that can come through, like being protective of other people with ideas and thoughts. And like, and this is reversed. So I didn't tell the woman that, I was just thinking it. And so it just made me think of, in general, my views on like motherhood and like, how I think like what's good for children. Am I right? Like, who knows, whatever. I could very well be wrong or right. I'm going to leave that up to the universe to decide. So the other thing is that this card could just like block an idea for something different. Something unusual. So one thing me and my husband love is Indian food, and I actually get this card, like the star, other Aquarius cards when I'm getting Indian food. I guess like I'm in the US, like northern US in New Jersey, so a lot of people for some reason don't like Indian food. I don't know why. I love it. I love how flavorful it is, all the spices and everything. But that day was a bummer. Another time I had this card because me and my husband wanted Indian food, and we couldn't because our favorite restaurant that we go to was shut down. Or I think there were only, yeah, like there were like a lot of, like there were a couple we go to, and like none of them are open. So that was a bummer. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed this video on the Seven of Swords. This is just a quick reminder that if you like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified for when I release my next video. Also, if you found value in this video, you really loved it, make sure to share it out and share the wealth. My next video will be on the Eight of Swords for this series, and I also do a weekly tarot and astrology forecast for the week on Sundays. So make sure to check it. All right. So anyway, oh, and if you want to catch up on the minor arcana videos that I've already done, check out this playlist here as well as a related video I think you'll like up here. All right. Love you guys so much. Take care. Bye. If you like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified for whenever I release a new video every single week.